I want to make sure that I don't come across like I'm the victim, because we have two victims here. And the second thing is that all of what happened on that day leading up to this event was precipitated on one idea, and that is that Helena and I had something profound in common. And that is, we both assumed the gun was empty.
Your emotions are so clearly so right there on the surface. You felt shock. You felt anger. You felt sadness. Do you feel guilt?
No. I feel that there is, I feel that someone is responsible for what happened, and I can't say who that is, but I know it's not me.
You are listening to the Roberta Glass True Crime Report, putting the true back in true crime.
I want to make sure that I don't come across like I'm the victim, because we have two victims here. And the second thing is that all of what happened on that day leading up to this event was precipitated on one idea, and that is that Helena and I had something profound in common. And that is, we both assumed the gun was empty.
Your emotions are so clearly so right there on the surface. You felt shock. You felt anger. You felt sadness. Do you feel guilt?
No. I feel that there is, I feel that someone is responsible for what happened, and I can't say who that is, but I know it's not me.
You are listening to the Roberta Glass True Crime Report, putting the true back in true crime. From New York City, Roberta Glass is now on the record.
Okay. How is everybody? How you doing? Sorry about that little technical glitchy. We are live and things do happen. Today, I wanted to talk to you about Alec Baldwin and the missing witness. He being the missing witness in this Rust trial. Now, we've heard from a lot of people, but not Alec Baldwin. Almost everyone but Alec Baldwin. And yet he hangs over this trial like a ghost. And his presence is felt. I am wondering if the woman sitting in the front row behind the defense team is someone from Alec Baldwin's law firm taking notes. They're almost every day taking notes. If anyone knows, let me know. But what a difference a couple days make. So when we last were talking, I was feeling like it was a fait complete, done deal. No hope for Hannah Gutierrez-Reed. And it really is turned around, at least for me watching it. And it really depends on how the jurors are going to look at it. Are they going to look at basically the director, the producers? They set the tone. They hired her. They thought she was doing a great job. Dave Halls testified that she thought she was doing a great job. And Sarah, the prop woman, throwing out evidence. So I want to start first with a little rundown of really good rundown of the investigation and how it went. So just as a reminder to everyone, I found it very helpful. I'm going to pull it up on the screen for those of you watching on YouTube, not listening on podcast. Here we go. Here is, we're all the way down at the bottom. You can see what I've been doing. So it's a timeline of the Rush shooting and investigation. This was written by Christy Pinna, published February 14th. So on October 21st, 2021, tragedy struck the set of Rust in New Mexico when Alec Baldwin discharged a prop firearm. Why are they keep calling it a prop? Yes, the firearm was a prop, but there was no difference in it. It was a firearm was used as a prop, but I guess they have to include the detail that it was being used in the film that had a live round in it, killing the film's director of photography, Helene Souza. Baldwin has maintained that he didn't pull the trigger on the gun that killed the cinematographer when it was discharged. At the time, a spokesperson from Rush has been absolutely devastated by today's tragedy. So I'm cutting that short. It was a longer quote. Since the tragedy, Baldwin and armorer Hannah Gutierrez-Reed have pleaded not guilty to the charges. Gutierrez-Reed was also later charged with evidence tampering, and her case begins in New Mexico on Feb 21st. So tragedy strikes. So that goes into the details of what happened. I think we all know. Hollywood begins calling for the ban of guns on set. So now with CGI, you can do that. Rush shuts down production until the police investigation is complete. Just going to read the headlines. Crew members come forward with complaints that indicate an inexperienced producing team may have been to blame. And I was saying to my mother that it really looks like, makes Ed Wood Productions look polished with all these people. It just, the whole testimony just gives me a feeling of the stench of failure. I've talked about this before. People on falling down the Hollywood rung or way down at the bottom trying to climb up it. So kind of cross section of those kind of people. Very people just starting out like Hannah Gutierrez-Reed. And that's why Helena Hutchins, who had a really good reputation by everyone's account, was such a treasured member of the crew. Shortly after the shooting, so if you don't know, THR, meaning the Hollywood Reporter, learned that Halls, the assistant director who handed Baldwin the prop gun and yelled "cold gun," had been fired from a previous indie film following yet another prop gun discharge. A producer on Freedom's Pass said that during production in 2019, a crew member, incurred a minor and temporary injury when a gun was unexpectedly discharged. After the incident, Halls was removed from the set. So 3 guns, 500 rounds of ammunition recovered from the set. Early in the investigation, Santa Fe County Sheriff Adam Mendoza revealed that he recovered 3 guns and 500 rounds of ammo from the Western set, as well as a mix of blanks, dummy rounds, and what we are suspecting are live rounds. During the same news conference, District Attorney Mary Carmack Altwise said there was a possibility of criminal charges, quote, "If the facts and evidence and law supports charges, then I will initiate prosecution. At the time, I do not make rash decisions and cannot rush to judgment," quote unquote. End of quote. Alec Baldwin calls for Hollywood to employ police officers on set, that every set should have a police officer hired to monitor production. But there safety rules that the set ignored. So something was lacking. It wasn't that he wasn't following the rules. Russ script supervisor Mamie Mitchell sues Baldwin and producers, and this is a quote, "He had no right to rely upon some alleged statement by the assistant director that it was a cold gun." So you might know that I use Baldwin's quote on a thumbnail on another episode about this subject, where Mr. Baldwin said that you never aim a firearm, at someone unless you're told the gun is empty. Just so ridiculous. So he's changing the rule a little bit. Not that you never aim a gun at something you don't want to destroy. Now it's just, if you're told it's empty, just point it at anything you want, even though we know, and I know I really harp on this fact, that Baldwin told the crew to move to the side the day before, and he didn't want to point the gun at him. Baldwin cannot hide behind the assistant director to attempt to excuse the fact that he did not check the gun himself, quote unquote. How live ammo may have ended up on the set. A search warrant affidavit filed for a prop shop gave the sheriff's department an idea how the live ammo has made its way to the set. In it, a detective wrote that the film's ammo was purchased from Seth Kinney of PDQ Arms and Prop LLC. In an interview, Gutierrez-Reed's father and longtime armorer Thel Reed informed the detective that he had recently worked with Kinney on another project in which they needed live ammo. According to the affidavit, Thiel told the detective that after the production wrapped on that project, Kinney took the can of live ammo, therefore indicating that ammo from his prior production could potentially match the one that was found on the Rust set. Kinney later denied that the live rounds on the set came from his company. Hold on one sec. Excuse me, I had a cough. Later on January 12th, Gutierrez-Reed sued Kinney and accused him of distributing boxes of ammunition purporting to contain dummy rounds, but which contained a mix of dummy and live ammunition. And then, of course, there's Baldwin's famous sit-down interview with Stephanopoulos. You saw that in the opening. Baldwin turns his phone over to the authorities. That's going to be really interesting to see what they found on that, because Baldwin's been such an unreliable narrator during this. I mean, we're all supposed to believe that the gun had magical powers. Baldwin returns to the set and they finish the production. Helena Hutchins' family sues for wrongful death. And that suit has been settled, my understanding. And a New Mexico safety agency rules firearm safety procedures weren't being followed on the set. Quote, the hazard associated with firearms by routinely failing to practice their own safety protocols, failing to enforce adherence to safety protocols, and failing to ensure the handling of deadly weapons was afforded the time and effort needed to keep the cast and crew safe. So it's kind of what we all knew, right? And this right after, so this was settled in October 2022. And Santa Fe County prosecutors announced Baldwin and other crew members will be charged January 19, 2023. So that's where we are. And they, of course, refilmed the movie. And then Baldwin was indicted January 19th on involuntary manslaughter charges. So that'll just give you an idea of the history of this. But your comments were very interesting. People are really, so I think I'm going to shock the heck out of everyone to say that I am feeling like you're all are feeling, or a lot of you are feeling. So if the jurors say that in the context of the set, and You have to remember Hannah was being told she was doing a great job. And everyone's kind of negligent and laxed and rushed, and she's young and she's being pushed to do everything really fast and do 2 jobs. Is this unfair? Are we going to see jury nullification? I mean, it seems pretty clear to me that if we are just considering her actions outside the context of the whole story, that she's guilty. But is the context, like the Adelsons, is the context important? So I'm going to shock everyone to say that I'm struggling here. She was too young, had no business doing that, but I think you can see, and we're going to go over the rest of Alec Baldwin's police interview, that Alec Baldwin was really impressed. Here's the daughter. You have to know that in these Hollywood circles, nepotism is big. You just being the son or daughter of someone in the in crowd, important, goes a long way. And Alec Baldwin and Dave Halls was I don't know. Alec Baldwin was basically thinking of himself, but Dave Hall said he thought that they were doing an excellent job with safety in his testimony. Let's get to stuff. Here we go. Botany 3 says, I don't know. The cross of the investigator was pretty bad. The prosecutor, judge, and witness almost looked like they were in cahoots. Right. It feels very arbitrary. It was really difficult to watch. And we know that Kenny, who they got the rounds from, was sort of leading them through the set, showing them where he was sort of like a liaison. But I believe it was Carrie Morrissey. Forgive me if it was the prosecutor before her, but I believe it was Carrie Morrissey. Please correct me if I'm wrong, who said where the bullets came from was a red herring. And I'm having such a feeling, and I don't know if the fact that I really don't like her style, I find that she seems to think she's doing the role of both judge and prosecutor, if that's clouding my judgment. But she seems to have the limelight has gotten the best of her. She's giving interviews, and we'll get to that in a second. I mean, while the trial's going on. Keith 2570 says, it's clear Hannah was not performing as needed. She should have been relieved of her duties. Her superiors should be held responsible for what happened. Yeah, a lot of I can feel like, so Keith, exactly, I feel the same way. I feel conflicted as what is very sus. David Hall's plea deal, where he got probation, unsupervised probation. And it doesn't really mean anything to him because after Rust, he retired. Like a plane crash, there has never been one isolated event that causes a tragedy. Hannah will be the scapegoat. That's what I hear that word over and over again in the comments. Scapegoat, scapegoat. Even some conspiracy theories being thrown around here. Surely she was negligent like many others on the set. Criminally negligent. Foreseeable that her actions would cause a death. Someone is not responsible. Many are responsible. So I believe the jury cannot really take into consideration who got what, but excuse me for being conflicted. This kid grew up entitled in a Hollywood bubble, meaning Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, and has no clue how the real world operates. She asked for an attorney and was tricked into answering questions. Yeah, looked very bad. That is a fact. You were right. All the money spent on this trial, the prosecutor and defense attorney are disrespectful, unprofessional, and appear to be all about the win. Well, I think all lawyers are about the win. The courtroom decorum is a joke. Yeah, I don't find that so much from the defense attorney, but she just turned me off. Carrie Morrissey has turned me off, and I'll show you why in a second. One of the reasons why the judge is not in control. Certainly wasn't for the first couple of days. I felt very strongly that if the defendant is convicted and gets 18 months jail time and or probation, is that a win? Is that justice? That's what everyone's asking themselves. Thank you, gavel, Gertie. The case of Brandon Lee was supposed to transform the safety standards in the industry. Maybe this tragedy will. That's what everybody's hoping. Another example of incompetence on the very people we depend on. Very interesting comment, Gravel. Gertie, thank you. Really get so much out of your comments. Really appreciate all of them. I read every single one of them, or try to. And I just wanted to show you. So Carrie Morrissey's giving these interviews. Let's take a look.
Well, after court today, Special Prosecutor Morrissey was asked about how the trial's going.
Action 7 News reporter John Cardinelli is here with what she had to say. John.
Shelley and Doug, Morrissey commented on the progression of the trial and who we can expect to see on the stand in the coming days. She also gave an update on when the state will rest their case.
So this is highly, I think, unprofessional. She should say nothing. Everything she should say should be in court. And you'll note that the defense attorney refused the interview, which I feel is the correct thing to do. But you have to understand, I guess, putting myself in her shoes, she's worked in obscurity her whole life. Finally, she's being recognized for her work, or her work is in the spotlight, and she can't resist. Remember when Juan Martinez in the Jodi Arias trial was taking pictures with fans outside the courthouse, and I knew it was his downfall. He's since been disbarred. When you let your ego get the best of you, I'm as much as I love watching trials, I don't think that courtrooms and the cameras in the courtroom help anyone. Excuse me.
With the trial for Rust Armor, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed approaching day 7, Special Prosecutor Carrie Morrissey expressed how she feels after day 6.
It's a really difficult case. It's extremely tragic. So I never walk out of the courtroom feeling like we had a really good day. I walk out of the courtroom feeling like I came here, I did my job, I gave the evidence and testimony that I have to the jury, and tomorrow we begin again.
So she's not really talking in specifics, and I guess that's how she rationalized giving that interview. But you just don't do this. I find it very unprofessional. I also think the way she dresses is a little casual for my liking. I have a lot of I have a lot of complaints.
The coming days, Morrissey says more key witnesses will be called to the stand.
I expect that we will hear some testimony from Mr. Souza, the gentleman that was shot and survived. Ms. Mitchell is another person who was in the church at the time of the shooting. She has, I think, some valuable information.
Morrissey believes by Monday afternoon the state will close their case and turn it over to the defense.
We believe in the case, or we wouldn't have charged Ms. Gutierrez and we wouldn't be in trial.
Our team.
Absolutely. I think appalling that she gave this interview. Yeah, Debbie Gibby saying Georgia Kappelman won't even talk before a trial, never mind in the middle of the one. What a mistake. So she didn't say anything really revealing, but here she's talking about the witnesses. She should be telling the judge when she plans to close up. This is not. I it's just a gripe on my part, and that's what I feel like she's playing for the cameras. And so let's talk about Dave Halls. His testimony. And here's another moment. So it was brought up that he took a plea deal. He got basically nothing that's really going to affect his life in any real way. Negligent use of a firearm. He's retired. He has, I think, 24 hours of community service. That's my memory of it. Please check that fact for yourself. But let's just take a look at his. Wait, hold on one second. Please hold. Okay, I just wanted to double check something. Okay, hold on one second. Please hold while I pull this up. Thanks, guys, for your patience. I know it can be trying when you're watching these, but I have so much I want to show you guys and talk
You
about.
swear affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you'll give.
And I just want to come into right in the beginning of his testimony where he talks about why he pled out. So, and a little bit about what happened, how he was negligent. So let's take a listen here.
3 or 4, you didn't see 6.
I don't recall her fully rotating the cylinder.
Okay. You don't recall her fully rotating it?
I do not.
Okay. And even though the cylinder wasn't fully rotated, did you let that safety check sort of pass?
I did.
Okay. And what's your recollection about what happened to the gun after that?
She took a few steps to Mr. Baldwin and gave Ms. Baldwin the gun.
Okay.
So this is very interesting because before this, we were hearing that Baldwin got the gun from Dave Halls. That was the reports that were coming out. Now we're hearing from everyone that, or from Halls and Baldwin certainly, that Hannah Gutierrez-Reed handed the gun. And he felt that he's like the only sole person. And there's obviously some real relationship or good relationship between Halls and Baldwin. That's what I'm picking up on. Let me know if you feel that or if you sense that.
And let me ask you, sir.
So she's going to ask about why he pled out. And he pauses and he looks up with his eyes moved first. And it's like, I pled out. He's like, he's thinking to himself, I pled out because it was the best option for me. I got probation and no time. Why are you asking me why I pled out? And then he remembers and he goes, oh yeah, because I was negligent. Reluctantly.
Were you criminally charged?
That's what
in
I
this
got
case?
when I first saw it. Tell me what you see.
I was.
And did you enter a no contest plea to negligent use of a firearm?
I did.
And why did you do that? When I say why, what in your mind caused you to be, what caused a plea to negligent use of a firearm to be appropriate? What did you do that would justify that?
I was negligent in checking the gun properly.
Okay, that's the reason that you took that plea, is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm surprised She's like, that's the correct answer. That's what we wanted to hear. Thank you for answering the way that we wanted. But boy, did I feel very reluctantly to these charges. I think he's resentful of the state. That's what I got out of it. I'm going to take a quick break. When I get back from the break, we are going to talk about Alec Baldwin, this subject, why he wrote a tweet in 2017 that he wondered what it would feel like to accidentally kill someone. If you are enjoying this episode of my True Crime Report, please hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share this episode. Get access to exclusive podcasts and other bonus content by becoming a patron today. If you have a question or comment for me, shoot me a super chat and I'll do my best to answer it and read it on air. Thanks so much. Now back to the show. Okay, so I am just going to slide on through. We went through a lot of this, but not all of it. And I felt through a lot of this that Alec Baldwin was running the show, that they were starstruck by him. And he was using all his charm and status as a A-list, quote unquote, star. But take a look at his IMDb. This is not the Alec Baldwin in the 90s. He did not have the career he had in the 90s. Let's just put it that way. So you can see what we're seeing in the Rust trial is little clips of Alec Baldwin. He's pointing with a gun. He's firing off rounds that weren't in the script. They were so close. And the armorer, the professional armorer testified, who was supposed to be for the state, usually those kind of expert witnesses are devastating. Dominic Dunn, one of my favorite, he calls those expert witnesses whores of the court. So, but in this case, I thought the armorer was really reserved in his criticism. He said, when you're asked to hurry, that's when you slow down. But here's a young woman on her second job. And when she really needed to stick up for herself, did she have the experience? Did she have the confidence to do it? And she is coming off like a little bit like someone inferred in their comment, a little bit like a spoiled Hollywood kid, a little bit. She's never had to really push to make sure that her job gets done right. And maybe I don't know where she got this lax attitude towards firearms, having her dad be the top armorer. I mean, according to Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, he is the business. So we'll listen to a little of this, then I'll go to Alec Baldwin's tweet. Also, Alec Baldwin's background, I put the link in the description of this episode. Alec Baldwin's father was an expert marksman and taught marksmanship. He's been around guns his whole life, which means he knows the rules of gun safety. But he chose on that day, it was more important to make the day, meaning get all their shots with the skeleton crew that they were working with, because crew members had left over conditions. So it wasn't just, as I've said before, it wasn't just safety. It was pay, it was sleeping conditions, accommodations, and he talks about it here. Let's take a listen.
And not really be
usually
a hard object.
If there's any chance
that when you look at the gun, so here's the barrel, here's the sight, and the cylinders around it, and it has the holes. We're just looking at the gun, the camera's eye view. When you look at the cosmetic rounds go in, they have no flash. But if you want to have cosmetic rounds that flash, if you want me to hold the gun, you see the bullets, and I shoot, that material is often a clay or fabricated material that just disintegrates, just turns to powder. And the round that you put that you don't see.
Thank you, Brooklyn Janet. So this is the essence of the case here. Hannah was totally irresponsible, left weapons out, didn't do safety checks, loaded the gun with live bullet, but everyone around her is telling her you're doing, or the head up are all telling her that's acceptable. Does that matter, Janet? That's what I'm asking myself. Have I lost the forest from the trees? You know what I'm saying? Like, have I just missed the point? Have I gotten so distracted? But I'll just tell you, I have to be honest. I think I'm shocking everyone. That's how I'm feeling watching this stuff, that it was a culture set up by Alec Baldwin of negligence. And other people felt it. So it wasn't just the safety issues, also was the safety issues around the pandemic that were brought up. But everything sort of was like amateur hour from this A-list star who was financing this. So you can see him going, and another one, and another one. He's directing the film. It's a joke when Joel Souza gets up on the stand and says, I was the director. No, you weren't. Not really. Only in name only. Alec Baldwin was running the show. And I know his time will come. Maybe this is impatience. Let me know how you're feeling in the comments. Have I lost it? Let me know. I may come back tomorrow and go, I lost it when I see, is the defense going to put on a case? And are we going to hear from Hannah Gutierrez-Reed's father, Thel Reed? But Alec Baldwin doesn't look like they're going to call him for the prosecution. Is the defense going to call him?
You're not seeing down the barrel. You're shooting. Those are the flash rounds, which have the top that looks like it's like folded kind of things like this, where it looks like someone's packed it and closed it.
But specifically today was supposed to be either empty or the ones that don't even make anything.
Cold rounds.
So cold round, the one with the hole in it.
Yes.
And it's not supposed to puff up or powder off, like you said. Nothing.
Halls told me that when he checked the rounds with her, they had the holes in them. And sometimes he told him, when I wasn't familiar with this, they'll take the round, and if it's a cold round, it'll have the holes, and inside will be BBs, and you shake it.
Yeah.
When you shake the BB, it's an acoustic thing to tell you that's a cold round.
Okay, and yeah, that's what...
Inside this base is stuff that rattles, little BBs that rattle. So you pick your gun, that's a cold round, that goes in the gun.
Okay, and that's what you were supposed to have today.
I was supposed to have an empty gun.
Empty?
Or when we shot, for the rehearsal, empty. And then when we shot, the flash rounds and everybody preps, and then she says, hot gun, she announces it, and the crew gets ready.
But you didn't even get to that part.
I rehearsed with a hot gun. Now.
But you were supposed to be cold.
Well, it was supposed to be cold or empty.
They were just marking. Has anyone been in a school play? Does anyone know what a marking rehearsal is? So it means you stand here, you do this. There was no need for him to cock the gun. So to me, it is, and they ask him about it here. He's like, oh, yeah, I had to do it in the scene. But you didn't have to do it in the marking rehearsal. Oh, thanks so much, Sherry Davis. Everyone points this and that, then help her, teach her, point out her mistakes. But when it comes down to it, she didn't do her job. Thank you, Shari, for keeping me in reality. Maybe I've just gotten out of reality. I'm just so disgusted. I worked as a D girl for a little while, my early life, and they put the fear of God in you. These people, especially when you're trying to build your career, you're out to please. But how? And when the whole hell, everybody's saying, you're right. You're right, Shari. When you're right, Shari. Jane, let's see what you. Hold on 1 second. Let me hide your comment. Jane, thank you so much. Jane's World. She's got some for everyone who loves Donna. Donna Adelson. And my Donna impression, Jane World. Her channel's got some shorts up now. 3 of them. And you can watch as many times as you want, all for free. Defense asks, have you worked with a woman armor before? Internet was outraged, but I think it's relevant as a woman aren't raised to speak up. Confidential to lean in it. To speak up. Confidential. You can just clear it up in the chat. I'll check in. But thank you very much. I'll check in and see if can clear that up. I'll come back to that, what you meant at the end. But yeah, maybe we've gone over the edge. Maybe I've gone over the edge. And I worry that I don't like the way that this investigation was done too much. And I have great respect for police officers. It's a job most of us are not brave enough to do. Detectives, it's hard work, little pay. Oh, thank you, Jane. Okay, here we go. Aren't raised to speak up with confidence, aren't raised to lean in. Thank you. I know spell check's a pain. Thanks, Jane. Yeah, you're right. And the age. And they all thought it was great to hire an armorer of this age. And the double duty thing has not. I thought props. I thought that was totally diffused with the armorer's testimony that he won't take a job if he's asked to do double duty. I don't find that as compelling as some of the other issues. The fact that Seth Kenney was leading them around the set. I find that very troublesome. I find it hurts my heart how cold. Yeah, that's true. How cold she looks in court. Okay, but God, witnesses are losing it, crying. She shows no empathy. R.A.P. Helena, her hubby and son. Yeah, and it really bothered me that YouTube, and I know you get copyright strikes, but they went out my last episode with a hacksaw and took out just anything that concerned Helena. So if you want to see the complete episode, it's unlocked, meaning anyone can visit my Patreon and watch the whole episode the way it was intended with no ads even. Thank you, Shari. I don't find her cold. I think she's handling herself well. I know other people have felt that though, Shari, you're not alone. I find her holding it together. Other people have suggested Valley of the Dolls, and maybe she's been given some kind of calming down pill, a chill pill, so to speak. I don't know. because you don't want to look twitchy. You don't want to, I mean, one wrong look to a juror and they can be leading the charge for your conviction. I'm just so shocked with my own self with the way I'm reacting to this trial. This is a very new experience for me in all regards.
But now, not only did I rehearse with a hot gun, I rehearsed with a gun that had a bullet inside. If that's what came out of his show, this is the most horrible.
So he's horrified. He's horrified. He can't figure out with the noise and everything and growing up with his father that it was a hot gun. Give me a break, Alec Baldwin. But that said, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed would not be someone I would seek out as a friend. I don't feel simpatico with her. I don't. But I'm uncomfortable. How do I say this? There are a lot of facts that make me leading the charge for a conviction. I'm conflicted, very conflicted. And yeah, Angela is saying she's poised. Yeah, I think she's the word scapegoat is coming up an awful lot. I'm reading it in the comments. Is she a scapegoat? She obviously didn't do her job well. But I want to know how she got so lax around guns. So we heard reports that she was doing this before another set. Yeah. So what I think has come out in the past couple of days in court is that Alec Baldwin looks worse and worse. Just the footage looks so bad for him. Like I said before, shooting off rounds that aren't in the script, having the crew really close to him, saying things like another, real quick. It's weird. It's like, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. It's like the prosecutor has a little tinge of Baldwinitis or something, like giant ego has hit her. Because I'm sure she's a decent human being.
Fine thing I've ever heard in my life.
Well, so yeah, and that's why I wanted to make sure that anytime that you shot a hot gun, you've never seen anything like this come out before.
Never.
Because I'm not familiar with prop guns.
Never.
I could tell you what a projectile looks like, and that does
Let
look
me
like
ask
a
you this.
projectile.
But, see, that's a bullet.
Yeah, so that's what comes out of...
Well, I think the question, I mean, I don't want to tell you your job, but I'm so sickened by this, that a bullet passed through this girl's body. She's in critical condition in a hospital right now, and I fired the gun. And if you don't think I feel really, really shitty about that, I do, but the question becomes, to ask Hannah, did you commingle live bullets? What they call live rounds. When they say live round, that's a bullet that a police officer would shoot. Where did that come from in her kit?
Yeah.
She commingled live rounds.
See, so here he is blaming Hannah. So he's playing the victim very well. And Alec Baldwin, is a force. Like I said, I've only had one experience with Alec Baldwin. I stood next to him at the opera, getting into the opera. If anybody's seen Moonstruck, the Met Opera, okay, set the scene. So before holding tickets, waiting in line with our tickets to pass through to security and hand over our tickets. And you're very aware that he's there. And boy, do they feel his charisma. I mean, he's running the show. He's in control here. That's the feeling I get. So let's just take a quickie break from this. I just want to show one thing. I promised to show this earlier. Did I pull it up? Oh. I know. But hold. Please hold 1 second. So I just want to show you this tweet, this reporting on Alec Baldwin's tweet, where he's wondering what it would feel in 2017 to kill someone accidentally. I mean, what is that about? Okay, here it is. Found it. Hold on 1 second. Thanks for your patience with this. So Alec Baldwin, excuse the ads. 2017 tweet wondering how it must feel to wrongly kill someone is being reshared following fatal shooting on Rust set. Alec Baldwin fired a prop gun that killed one person and injured another on the set of Rust. In the aftermath, a tweet Baldwin wrote in 2017 reacting to a police shooting has resurfaced. And that was the original tweet. You can read more about it. He writes, I wonder what it must feel to wrongfully kill someone. Baldwin's 4-year-old tweet, along with a link to a Los Angeles Times report about a bystander's video of the 2017 police shooting. People on Twitter, Twitter immediately began sharing the actor's old tweet in conjunction with the recent Rust shooting news. According to the Los Angeles Times report, a video of the 2017 incident depicts 27-year-old Dylan Tobars reaching for an object on Officer Eric Esparz's belt. Then the officer unholstered his pistol. So that's how that ended. So it was also a dig at the police, which our A-list stars and media always like to do. So, okay, before we go back, thank you, Brooklyn Janet. Hannah, loaded gun. Asked director admitted his failings. Crew said nothing. Alec pulled trigger. Just one of these people needed to do something different. Isn't it frustrating, Brooklyn Janet? Don't you feel like you want to go back in time and tell Helena, there's 2 H names. It's a little tricky sometimes to get your mouth around to say things correctly. But don't you want to go back in time and go, Helena, don't go. Don't take the job. Don't even set foot on that set. Or maybe tell the crew, everybody, pull the funding. Because this had false starts where the funding fell through, which it often does. It's an interesting article I read also, and it's hinted at a couple of Carrie Morrissey, the prosecutor's questions about tax write-offs, this being a tax dodge for Alec Baldwin. Pretty interesting. Saw a article on, I believe it was about, I think it was the Hollywood Reporter. I'll try to share it next time, about these kind of independent movies being a tax dodge. Dean Walker, thank you so much. Always look forward to your show and enjoy the follower comments in the chat. I'm so glad you're enjoying it. Well, I get a lot out of listening to what you guys have to say. Like I said, I can only tell you how I'm feeling watching the trial. Conflicted, very conflicted, which is a very new experience for me. I tend to favor the prosecution. And usually if in this day and age, if a trial is being shown on TV, they usually have a pretty good case.
dummy rounds or movie rounds.
So there was, we'll get to it. Maybe I hope you guys are up for a long one. Because I have a lot of things to show you. I mean, Sarah, the prop master, is it master or even if you're a woman? She's throwing away bullets and saying she did it in panic. She did it to save her butt. Well, in redirect, well, you don't know what they're looking for in a police investigation, do you? And she answers no. Are you kidding me? Are we all made to believe that after a shooting, and now you don't know it's a fatal shooting, but you know someone's been helicoptered to a hospital and it's serious enough? So for those of you saying Alec Baldwin calling his wife and saying, we'll have a great time, it's all paid for, totally out to lunch and insensitively. So first, he's going to blame Hannah, then he's going to blame Helena for standing there and really, really controlling his police interview. So, I mean, are we made to believe that she didn't know that a shooting where there's a police investigation, that they're not going to be looking for bullets? Of course she knew that. That is exactly why she threw it out. Well, I did it where people could see me. Really? After a chaotic experience where everybody's really concerned that they just are glad they're still alive, they're going to be concerned with what you're doing? Really? We're supposed to believe that you didn't have any. I mean, I'm wondering if a juror could see consciousness, that throwing out of the bullet was some consciousness of guilt. She didn't load the gun, but she was part of that team. I don't know. What do you guys think? Have I gone too far out? Am I not concentrating on the important details? Have I gone too far out? Have I widened the scope too much? Let me know.
And we asked her that. Do you know where you guys get the rounds from? Who orders it? Or you don't have any part of any of that?
Who, me?
Yeah,
that's her, yeah.
All familiar, okay.
All I know is when we come to the set, you hand me a cold gun, nothing's in reverse. Then we load the gun with the flash rounds and we shoot. That's it, every time. We've never had a problem.
So you didn't even get part to that second part of you'll hand it back. I do want to ask you about Dave Hall. I understand sometimes she'll hand the gun off to Dave Halls and then he'll hand it to you. Did that happen at this incident?
No. I don't recall ever doing it.
It was Hannah handing it.
I never recall. I recall that when we would stop the scene, if we finished a scene, Halls is someone who is assumed by his position to be authorized to do nearly everything. So if I was doing a scene with you and we finished the scene, or we finished your angle and we were going to turn around and shoot my angle, when they say turning around, that means it's time to go to the bathroom, go get a bottle of water, go get a coffee, go smoke a cigarette. We have a break. And if I was going to go to the bathroom, I'd hand Halls the gun to give to her. I would only hand it to her, or if she wasn't around, if she was away because she'd be at the shop, they clearly hand Halls the gun, they give it to her. Give this to
You know, I've never seen a case where so many of these witnesses seem like defense witnesses. I have to remind myself that they're prosecution witnesses. I thought Sarah was terrible for the prosecution. And I thought, well, why did they call her? Well, because they didn't want to seem like they were hiding her, I thought. But she was a terrible witness for the prosecution. With her baby voice. Reminded me of Darlie Routier.
So sometimes you would hand the gun to Halls, but you never, he never handed the gun to you.
No.
Okay.
No, never.
So you would hand it to him?
I'd pass it off to him if she was not on site and I was going to run to use the bathroom. I was going to buy it. But that's very typical. Halls is empowered and authorized to hand him the weapon. He's the only other person to hand the weapon after we were done. Whether it was a Colt.
But people testified in this trial that he didn't hand over the weapon, that was unusual, that he was allowed to keep possession of the weapon. And when you see Baldwin on set pointing around in the footage from Rust, these dailies, he looks like he loves holding this gun. He's pointing things out with it. Armorer's testimony again was not, should have been slam dunk. It was a little bit damaging, but not as damaging as I thought. He said, this is when you bring the actor aside. Who's going to bring the guy responsible for everyone's paychecks aside and say, no, we have to also have a greater distance between the crew and the scene if this is going to be a shooting scene. And he's just shooting off the gun when he wants to. It seems like he loves doing it. It's like it's bizarre.
Gun with no things, or flash rounds, I'd say. Hot gun, hand it to him. Well, usually not. Because usually it was a hot gun. If it was a hot gun we were to shoot, she'd be right nearby. Okay. If I hit, because other times we have rubber guns. We have fake guns. Yeah.
And specifically, right before this incident, Hannah handed you the gun and said, "Cold." It wasn't Dave.
I don't mean cold. No, Hannah handed me the gun.
Okay. It wasn't anybody else but Hannah.
No, Hannah handed me the gun.
And she specifically said.
I believe she said cold. I don't recall it.
Where? So this is I'm not that great of a drawer, but this is the church. This is the front where the
you enter here. Yeah.
Cross is. Where did she hand the gun to you? Inside while you were
yes, because I was seated. In other words, this is the scene in the church where you come in and there's a lot of disarray. There's benches tipped over, and here was one bench that was upright and sturdy. Some of the other benches are prop benches, so they can smash easily with explosives. You want the gunfire to have fake benches. They're made of a lighter wood, so they put charges inside. So when you shoot, cinematically, when a guy's shooting a gun and you turn around and see what he's shooting at, you're going to see charges that are buried inside. They put a little material behind. You're going to see boom, boom, boom. It seems flash. That is a prop bench. There were prop benches around that they were eventually going to put. Today, we're going to put squibs in to have them blow up. And this was a real bench, a heavy. Because if you sat on the prop bench, it would break. Mm-hmm. This was a live bench, and I sat here. And the camera was here, and she was here, and Joel was here.
She being Helena?
Helena.
Okay, and?
I'm here, on the bench, sitting. I'm right here to the right. I'm all the way to one side. They wanted me to go all the way to that side. And the camera guy was here. He's behind. Hannah was here. Joel was here. Where the other people, I believe that the script woman was always in that corner, so she could see the actual. And when I shot the gun away from the cameraman, I never aimed against the camera. I turned and I went like this to aim the camera, and she was there, and the gun went off, and she just went right on the ground.
What about the armorer, though? Or was she?
She's outside.
Okay. She hands me the gun.
She hands me the gun all the time.
And then what?
If there's any shooting involved in the scene, she always hands me the gun.
Never has Dave handed you the gun?
Never.
Okay. And then she goes back outside.
She waits outside because she just can't be there sitting there doing what I see. Sometimes in the scenes there's reflections, like you see. So you only need the necessary crew in there for shooting the camera. Everybody else leaves, and as soon as they cut, they come running back in.
Okay. Real quick before she shows you that, the other thing I wanted to know, and it's probably helping she does show you those rounds. Have you, in your experience, ever been told that you're not supposed to cock the gun?
No.
No, you're okay.
He wanted me to cock the gun at the scene.
Right, he wanted me to. Alec with his dad, the expert marksman, has been in a million movies with using firearms, has taken probably so many firearms trainings he could lead one himself. Knows the day before, thanks Swoop 6, how to really win. I'd love to know how you got that name. It's so weird. It's so weird. Listening to Alec as nauseating as as Charlie Adelson, isn't it? Is that what's happened? Have I just gone over the edge? Has the prosecutor, and not that I'm any great fan of Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, but I'm getting very sympathetic with her in the context of all these other figures. Dave Halls, boy, he turned me off. Joel Souza's just seemed one of those guys with not much talent and very likable with a lot of charm. As you know, my dad always said, charm is the enemy of character. So I'm very suspicious of people who are very likable and charming. Sort of charmed his way in getting movies made. His movie, Crown Vic, I haven't seen. But the criticism of it was like, this is the same plot line as Training Day. What are we watching here? Yeah, hard to listen to. So did anyone ever tell you not to cock the gun? That there was no need to do it? No. He wanted me to. He did. That guy. It's Hannah's fault. Everyone else. I mean, the narcissism. I don't care that. I just keep going back to what he told his daughter, that phone message. I don't care that you're 12 years old or that you're a child. Or maybe I should do my Alec Baldwin. I don't care that you're 12 years old and a child. I'm going to straighten you out. Right? That one where he calls her a pig. I'm sorry, a thoughtless, rude little pig. Remember that? When he's slighted, he goes into a rage. I've often wondered if Helena, from the testimony of Joel Souza, Helena Hutchins had so much respect for her work and her vast knowledge. Was he resentful because she was a threat to his? No, she certainly has the look, that blonde look of like a Kim Basinger type. I'm not saying she's Kim Basinger in her prime, but Helena Hutchins was a beautiful wife and kids. His wife and a zillion kids are a million miles away. Did she turn him down? What made him cock the gun that day and point it at someone? So I don't really care much if his finger was resting on the trigger, if he pulled the trigger, if it fired. What I care about is the cocking action and that he pointed it. And that the day before he said, get out of my line of sight. I don't want to point the gun. Why was it okay yesterday and not October 21st? Why was it okay October 21st, what I mean, and not the day before? What happened?
Okay. He wanted it as part of the scene. He said, okay, take the gun out, turn and cock it into to the right, my left, to their right of the lens. In other words, if I'm sitting here and you're the camera, we don't talk about my left, we talk about camera right. Camera right, we only talk about the camera. Camera right is my left. Okay. So if I'll say to you, where do you want me to aim the gun? They'll say, camera right. So I'll aim the gun to my left.
Okay.
So I always aim the gun away, but she was there. And in the rehearsal, he wanted me to pull out the gun and cock the gun. And if you're assuming you have a cold gun, there's no problem.
Right.
And again, a cold gun I'd had, every time we've used guns in this film the last 2 weeks, we never had one problem. Never.
Okay. And I don't, maybe we discussed this when I was going, after the gun was shot, who did you hand the gun to?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember. I made everybody freaked out.
Yeah, I think so. Okay.
It was one of those two people, Halls or her.
So I just put a poll up. It looks like 63% of you are saying she's guilty and there's not a question. This is going to be interesting. Could they hang? And if they hang, could we get will they retry her?
I would imagine, well, there's the dummy there. So that's probably a dummy round. And there's no drill in this. That might be a flash round. And as I said,
So flash rounds do not have holes.
Well, the flash round has a charge in here
Okay.
of powder, different sizes. Like I said, quarter, half, full load, and a wadding in there to pack it in. It's packed in tightly.
Okay.
So when you hit this pin, it explodes. Now, sometimes it has this material there if you have to have the cosmetic feature through the gun and then shoot. But often it has, there's the BBs in there. This is a dummy round. No dummy here, but there's that. My point is that very often when you give me, when she's loaded the gun with rounds for us to go hot and flash and shoot, they've had that creased, folded head. The dumpling head, as we say.
Okay.
They've almost never looked like this for the flash.
So Lila is saying she is guilty in a group of guilty, stupid people. Right. But I mean, I think what I'm being affected by is the disparate, the difference in power. So Alec Baldwin, here he is with his millions. He's financing partially, he's a producer. He's really, I think, a co-director on this from what I've seen. If not the director, I think Joe Souza was basically just there to say, okay, Alec, it just seemed like Alec Baldwin was really calling the shots and set the tone. And as we all know, he's a maniac. Sorry. Yeah. This is what a horrible, horrible, horrible tragedy. I just feel, it just makes you want to throw up, doesn't it? That there's a son without a mother, a husband without a wife. It's disgusting. And here he's talking to his wife, come down, have fun. I know he doesn't know that she's passed yet. But come on. What I see here is someone in control. He's telling them how it's done, how it was.
Only when the camera sees inside the cylinder do you put those in there.
But those are both.
So he says we never had a problem. So did he not know about the discharged round? Did it not get up to him? It never got back to him that rounds were? I know Lane Looper came up to him and said, look, these accommodations are impossible. 60 miles away. He goes, we can't negotiate the contract. That would have cost us, I can't remember if he says 180,000 or 80,000. Either way, may I remind you that he's selling this was his, according to his Stephanopoulos interview, this was an extraordinary project. Extraordinary project, guys. Alec Baldwin thought it was an extraordinary project. Those are my words, not his. That was the essence of what he was saying. I mean, that was what I got out of the Stephanopoulos interview, is that he was really, really the victim, even though he said he wasn't many times. He doesn't want to come off as a victim because he knows that's how he really feels. It's Alec Baldwin's world. We're just living in it.
That's a dummy round. That's a dummy round. That's what they taught me.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert.
I'm sure you have more experience with some of your own than we do.
I doubt that. I'm sure I always say to my wife, I think I should get a gun. I'm getting a little nervous about the word. My wife was like, no gun with my house. I got 6 kids. I'm 63 years old, and I have an 8-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 5-year-old.
Wait, was he kind of doing the accent? No. It's now like the accent when he imitates his wife. It's just dimmed a little bit. So it's like just a partial, like just a tinge, a touch. But I do think all those things are important to establish Alec Baldwin as an unreliable narrator. And having worked for Gavin DeBecker, so Gavin DeBecker, if you don't know, has a kind of idea of safety, that big things don't just happen. There are a lot of little red flags along the way. So here he is getting into altercations with the press. His temper, the phone call with his daughter, the whole hoax with his wife's Spanish heritage that he totally played a part of. Instead of saying, hey guys, it was fun, we had fun with it, he says, oh no. He attacks the people that were the truth tellers. So that makes me think that Alec Baldwin is not a reliable narrator. And also that when he does something wrong, so when he said a slur having to do with someone's sexuality in the press, I don't think it had any basis in reality. Everybody heard it on the street, but he's going to tell everyone they're wrong. Everyone's ears need checking. He didn't do it. Oh no, I would never point a gun at anyone, even though it's okay to point a loaded gun at a gun at someone if you're told it's cold. That's special Alec Baldwin rules, everybody.
A 3-year-old, a 1-year-old, and an 8-month-old that we had as a surrogate.
Oh
my daughter.
my gosh.
I'm 63 years old, and we had 6 kids in 7 years. So my wife she was born in the U.S. but raised in Spain. She's like, Alec, we will not be having any guns in the house. No. But
okay.
I believe there's a dummy round.
So you call this a flash round, right?
No. Flash round means there's a charge in there. No charge in there, if you hear that sound.
Okay.
No charge in there if you see that.
So what happens
So
when
I
you
was
shoot
told.
these? Or to what you?
You put them in their cut.
Great point, Brooklyn Janet. Roberta, the assistant director, was responsible for safety meetings, which he never had. He didn't check the gun carefully. He failed as well. But you remember his testimony, Janet? He said he thought the set was exceedingly safe. We know a woman, we know that there was a discharge on the set day or two before. I believe it was the day before. But he's testifying it was safe. It was up to his standards. So those were his standards. And the director's standards.
Cosmetically,
doing a great job.
with nothing in them, so that through the cylinder you can see that.
Guys.
Okay.
You can see in the cylinder whether the cylinder is empty,
Or
and they look bad, continuity-wise, or that there's a round in there. So they put a cosmetic round in the chamber. They load the gun, close it, and then I hold the gun. You see the things in there. A flash round.
See, he knows exactly what to look for, exactly how to shake it, how to look, how to check his prop. It's his prop. And it was a very effective testimony when the armorer expert says, when people are having trouble pointing guns or are using their props in unsafe ways, I say control to them, control. Before I hand it to them, make them repeat it, control. But here Alec Baldwin is finally, and to be fair to Alec Baldwin, actors as they're coming up, especially in his era, were not treated great. I mean, he had it better certainly than actresses. But so when they finally get to a position where they've made it and they have the money and they're in power, they can. So you need this strong ego to become a star, but when you're a little bit of a totally hothead, your temperament is not great. So his wife just said, no, we're not having any guns in the house. Are you crazy? I'd like to live. Or she says, I wish I could do a Swedish accent. Alec, I like to live. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Alec, I like to live.
Would be like what crimped is the word. A crimped round with a charge inside.
Yeah, I think you're right. And this may not, you're right. I may be getting too into the whole atmosphere of the set. It was just so out of control. Nightmare. Boy, those people walked off the set were vindicated.
And that one shoots, and there's no projectile. I'm really challenged whether they ever see. I doubt, sometimes they have these where you can do both, but that's the clay material. But usually, 99% of the time when we shot a flash round, it was the crimp thing, and you don't see inside the cylinder. Okay. So you're the camera, and I'm not pointing where you can see it. I'm off a little bit, and all you see is the flash.
Do you know what would happen if you shot one of these? Have you ever had experience with that?
Nothing.
Nothing happens with them?
There's no charge in them.
Okay.
This indicates.
There's bottoms?
Right. Well, sometimes they have the pin to create something. I'm just saying. When I look at this, when I go like this. Now, by the way, there could be a charge in there, and that charge and those BBs could come out. I don't know. I don't know enough about it to know whether this rattling indicates that it's an empty, a cold round. That's obviously a cold round because that's where the gunpowder would be in here. Mm-hmm. That's a cold round. This, I'm assuming, is a cold round because they go like this to tell themselves it's a cold round. I believe. Please don't take my word for it.
Just in your experience.
I'm a father of 6 children. Pretty much, that's all I do these days. My experience is those are both cold rounds.
Okay.
And I was told by Halls.
So he's saying these are cold rounds, meaning they're just put in so there's not an empty chamber. But he didn't look, because you don't need to look. You can point it any way you want. Does anyone know if the defense is gonna put on a case? If they're gonna call witnesses, let me know. But you see, he's a father of 6 kids. And I think he's had another one or 2 more since then. I mean, I thought he had 10 kids now. Am I wrong? Maybe wrong. It's so many. I've lost count. It's like a baby factory over there with Hilaria. She's got the Mia Farrow illness. But he's bringing up his fatherhood to say, see, I'm a good guy. That's all I do is I'm not, I know I may look like a big time star sitting here impressing you all, but I'm really just a good father who do the right thing. Safety is always a concern for me, even though I ran a set basically that totally ignored safety standards. Right. And he didn't pay attention either during the safety training that he did have. He was on his phone. I mean, even here in the police precinct, he's calling Hilaria and saying, come down, we'll have a great time. When Hannah was turned down, this is Paige says, for more safety, she made it known she was going to ask permission with the child actor's guardian to do safety with the child on her own time. It's a good fact for her.
Then when they took
a lot of bad facts for her, though. Leaving. Let's talk about some of the bad facts. I'm just telling you how I'm really feeling watching the trial. And boy, it surprised me. Maybe I've lost it. But a lot of bad facts. Leaving guns unattended. carrying multiple different kinds of bullets in her fanny pack. Now, she told police that she had a system. One pocket, she kept one kind of ammunition, another, she kept another. And other people on the set said, I'd never seen an armor act that way. They're usually the most uptight people. Here she is very lax. And you can see it, and they showed footage from the dailies where she's holding the gun, like basically under the muzzle of a big shotgun under her chin. Frightening. It's, you know what it's like? It's like watching a baby. One time my boyfriend's sister, when her child was a baby, he was playing with bricks and dropping them right before his feet. That's like similar experience watching the dailies.
The gun away and looked at them. Every round inside the gun was a cold round, except the one round was not only a hot round, it was a live round, it was a bullet. If you're telling me that that's what came out of his shoulder, there's something really, really scary going on here.
Well, and I think that's what she was
Something's
trying
really
to
bad.
ask, is if any time, well, you said these are cold ones, but the ones that are not cold, the quarter,
Right.
those.
They have the crimped head.
Have you ever seen anything like that ever come out on set?
No, it's not possible.
Not possible. Okay.
It's not possible.
Yeah, they don't have a head. I'm saying these.
They don't have there's no projectile.
There's no projectile. Okay. So then, and these shouldn't.
Somebody put a live bullet in the gun.
Okay. Because these shouldn't separate or do that either.
No.
Okay.
Separate, no, probably.
Like that shouldn't come out either when if it does.
If you did a flash round, that wouldn't be there.
Okay.
This is a cosmetic round only.
Right.
I point the gun, that's in the cylinder. When we shoot the gun, 99% of the time, it's a flash round that you don't see the cylinder.
Mm-hmm.
You're the camera, and I'm slightly...
This is a good point. Sweepstakes, how to really win says, and thank you. And thank you. Thank you, Brooklyn Janet, by the way. I don't know if I thanked you. I was just thought your point was really good. Alec wants to be boss, but takes zero responsibility. Great point. Sweepstakes, how to really win. Thank you. I'm from Boston. So is Hillary. Ridiculous accent. Oh, sweepstakes, take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Oh, I find her amazing. Like, how do I say this? The people that are so out of reality, so she will fight like Alec Baldwin, fight all day long, argue all day long that her accent is real and that she gets mixed up. And it's just not possible. If you're a native speaker, it doesn't happen like that.
You don't see that.
I'm sorry, we keep having you explain that, but it's just because there's different rounds.
Right. I'm saying this is a cosmetic round, to my knowledge. And if there is, another question for you is there a cosmetic round, is there a flash round that has the head, which I believe they have, where you could shoot into the gun? Meaning, if the director wants you to aim the gun at the camera, they put a lucite screen up there, and I shoot the gun at you, you can see the bullets inside there, or they can go to do that with a computer. But if I put the thing toward you and then shoot, they'll have a round that has this on there that'll explode. But again, I've been told that is a clay material or something that just dissolves on explosion. No projectile comes out. On a flash round, it blows up that you shoot on camera. Quarter, half, full. There is no projectile unless some material is stuck in the barrel of the gun.
Okay.
And I thought for sure what happened was, did they not check there was a stone or whatever? Now again, I am speechless. We're here shooting, everything was going fine. Joel is my friend. I'm one of the producers.
Everything's going fine except for the multiple. I think was it 7 or 14? Let me know in the comments. Crew members who walked off the day before everything was going fine. I don't know if he got wind of that discharge round, but it also happened near a horse. He could have spooked a horse, could have hurt. That could have been dangerous. Oh, thanks, Lily. The James Crumbly trial starts this week. That'll be interesting. Yeah, he's speechless, but we haven't seen any signs of the speechlessness. So to let you know, I'm very mutable. I really could be convinced either way. I'm very
On this
conflicted.
movie.
That's all I can say.
We've developed this movie together for 3 years.
It's a new experience.
I left my wife and 6 kids in New York to come here for a month to shoot this movie, and I'm the one that shot the gun today that had a live bullet go through that woman's body and into his body. And I need to know, how did that happen? Where did that bullet come from? Where did there are no live rounds in her kid, I'm told. Everybody is sitting around waiting for me to come here with all the sheriffs and all the people that were there, waiting for us to get ready to come and do this with you. But all they did was talk about that. But it's speculation of, like, in her kit, she doesn't have live rounds.
And that's what we were told. That's what when we asked her, she said there's no live rounds.
So he's going to really stress the thing. There aren't live rounds on a set. No live rounds. So I can point it any way I want. No safety meetings needed. No need for me to check. No need for Dave Halls to really check on another set that he's going to kill someone someday. But everything was going great because everything was going great for him. This is what my dad used to say. He said, everyone's favorite subject is themselves. So he would say, say to me, excuse me, I'm just talking about my favorite subject, myself. So for Alec Baldwin, it's like there's Alec Baldwin and then there's not everyone else, not Alec Baldwin. And maybe Hillary, his wife from Boston. Shout out to all the Pepinos out there.
Not even in her kit, not on set, anywhere. So
for that very reason,
we want to know the same question too. Yeah, how, if there's not supposed to be any live rounds on set,
Then it comes down to
and who?
possible manufacturer defect.
Or them.
that a cosmetic round shot this projectile through them? Is that possible? Did you find out? I don't know.
It's possible.
Oh, it is. They told you that mechanically if that's possible.
Yes.
So
sometimes
He didn't know, having a dad who's an expert marksman. And thank you, Debbie. He has, sorry, I had to cough. Now he has 7 kids under 8 years old to 11 months, plus a 29-year-old Ireland. Thank you, Debbie. So he has 7 kids under 8 years to 11 months, plus Ireland. So that's 8 kids. I thought, okay. Sure, you know, but there is a whole group of people mesmerized on Reddit, mesmerized by Hillary Baldwin and her antics. So it's bizarre to have a person, just come out and say, we had fun. We had a lot of fun with it. It was our thing. Sorry if it offended anyone. End of story. But they're all pretending that they didn't perpetrate a giant hoax. She was on the cover of some Spanish magazine, or at least featured. Excuse me if I'm wrong that she wasn't on the cover, but I believe she was featured in Hola. I mean, come on. So that is not important to me in context of this case. What's important is his reaction afterwards, going, "Oh no, consider the source." So I think that's very much like, I didn't fire the gun. I didn't pull the trigger. He cocked the gun, and obviously, whether he was resting his finger or squeezing it knowingly or unknowingly, But I've found something very weird about this whole incident.
And there is a charge in the end of not intentionally, but
A mistake. Today I sit here, and whether it was a misfiring theatrical round or a libel, I shot this woman with a gun today. It doesn't feel so good, you know.
come on. I could imagine that would not feel good.
I feel really bad, you know, it's like everything was going great. The only problem we had was when these 6 guys wanted to quit. And there, I don't know the jargon, but their, union rep or whatever in the New Mexico contract, different contracts in different states, the person that was in charge of these people and a kind of a pipeline, a lot of shooting going on, a lot of movie TV work in Albuquerque, Santa Fe, the person was their head person was told them, don't strike. It's not, again, we don't want to cripple the indie business and put all of our employees out of work. Our indie contract is set for now. You have a contract you're under. Now we can renegotiate that contract, which no doubt they will.
Sweepstakes, how'd it really win? I'd be shaken up, unable to talk. He's heartless. Well, the Baldwin supporters would say, and thank you, Sweepstakes. The Baldwin supporters would say he doesn't know yet, but he does know that he injured someone seriously enough to have them helicoptered, is that right? To a better hospital, a serious trauma unit. So, yeah. But it doesn't matter. These people in Alec Baldwin's world, it's him. It's the Woody Allens that matter. It's the people. Hold on one second. Sorry. These are the little people that don't matter, the people that flatter his ego, like the Woody Allens and the people that can help his career. I don't know what happened. I've been hearing stories from people in my life who've had experience with one Baldwin brother or the other, and it's all kind of this chaotic, entitled, spoiled, destructive behavior. I'll leave it at that.
But in the meantime, you have a contract that you agreed to, and those men came, I'm not criticizing them, they came under a contract which they knew what it was, they reported to work, and then halfway through the shooting, they left, they walked off. And I don't, when he said to me, well, my guys are sleeping in my car, the ADs and the producers said to me, well, they're all of a sudden complaining about a contract they've been working on it for quite a while. And some days we wrap, and they shoot nights. Those are tough. The men, the women, they have to go back to their homes and maybe Albuquerque and drive an hour, and it's 3 o'clock in the morning, Mm-hmm. And we try to put the night shooting on the weekend, so when you wake up the following day, you're off. Mm-hmm. And then some days we wrap the theory. The day before they walked away.
Yeah, it's so tough on this shoot that they all walked off. Yeah, it's tough on them, but it's tough for me too. These early morning shoots, we're much closer, but I'm talent. These are the other people. And what really irks me is he supported other strikes, but not. So he demanded that other people on a set be treated well, but not his people. It's like, you know what that would cost?
The job we wrapped at 5:45 in the afternoon. We had a very reasonable day. A very easy day, 6 o'clock. As I'm driving away with them, and I waved to that guy. The guy said, I want to talk to you, the heavyset guy. Yeah. And I'm leaving. I said, I'll see you tomorrow. And I left, because I want to get home.
Right.
I want to go call my kids before they go to bed in New York. And yesterday, when I was driving, when I saw him, the sun was still out. We didn't shoot a day like we usually shoot till we lose the light. Mm-hmm. That's why we're here, to shoot New Mexico.
Yeah.
New Mexico is the star of the movie.
Yeah. Okay. So do you
in your opinion, feel that this could have been an accident? Or do you...
I want to believe that, let me ask you this, because I don't know anything about this, because it was such mayhem when this happened.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was sick that this happened, because we didn't know. No one imagined. Everyone thought she was hit by wadding or she got burned. No one presumed she was shot with a bullet, any projectile went through her body. No one even considered that wasn't possible. So the question is, the cartridge...
No one ever considered that. Well, that's not the testimony that we've heard. Everyone, so Joel Souza was in shock, who had been shot, the director. But Mamie Mitchell ran and called 911 immediately. Everyone knew something terrible had happened, except Alec Baldwin. He's the last one. He still can't. So you're expecting to hear click, I'm going to quote John Schneider, and you hear bang, and he still doesn't know what happened. Oh, thanks so much, Jane. Jane's World, too. In an Appalachian accent. That's how they do us. Right. The little people. Is that what you mean?
that came out. The cartridges when the gun that they fired. Have you got that?
No. So we have to send that. We don't analyze that stuff. We collect it, but then we send it to lab.
It was collected. You have
it will be.
Right. That's all I'm saying. Is that to me, I'm wondering, what was that? What was in that? The measurement, I don't know anything about that. What are they? What ballistics? How can they measure what was in that?
Mm-hmm.
How much of it?
And that'll all be done at the lab.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right. So this whole set got fined for safety violations, and the Rust producers, meaning including Alec Baldwin, he feels so sick over it that they're disputing it. They won't pay it. I think that is a conspiracy theory. This hasn't been substantiated by anything I've seen. But certainly Sarah, the prop master, did not like Hannah Gutierrez-Reed. There were tensions all in the prop department. There was problems with Hannah Gutierrez-Reed doing her job, or doing both jobs.
All I knew was the gun went off, she hit the floor, he hit the floor, he started screaming. He was in a lot of pain. She went into shock. She didn't talk.
Right.
Her eyes are rolling back in her head, and blah, 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 and bad. And everybody starts getting really, and then they start doing CPR, putting eye.
What is wrong with Alec Baldwin? How do you get this callous in life? What happens to you? This is a little something more than going through the ranks or climbing the ranks to be a giant movie star. She said that her eyes were rolling in her back of her head, blah, blah, blah. What's wrong with this guy? If you have a question for me, it's really hard for me to see with the chat going so fast. Just please put a red mark.
And then people start wondering, what did something, we assumed because the wadding can burn you, there's material that can come out under that, very rarely, that could burn you. But remember, that often doesn't happen because there's always a cold gun on the rehearsal. By the time you leave, if the wadding comes out and it hits somebody, they're 20 feet away from you in a gunfight, the crew is away. You're not shooting anybody, they're the crew. And my point is that when she went down, I thought, what was stuck? We all said the same thing. What was stuck in the barrel? There was something left. They didn't clean the barrel, which they always do, always. And was there a rock or something that went through her body? I didn't know about the passing through her body. I know she was hit. I didn't know where, and I don't know to what extent. But we all presumed as we're sitting outside, bullshitting for the last 2 hours while this went on, the aftermath, we assumed something was lodged in the barrel, was a projectile that went into her body. Now, when you tell me that's what came out of Joel's shoulder, that's a faulty round, which I've never heard of that before.
Okay.
Never. I've never heard of a theatrical flash round that was loaded into a gun that had a projectile that misfired, and that projectile came out that was a lethal round. Normally, if you're going to have a round that has this on it, it's the material that disintegrates when you fire the gun. Because if you take...
So thank you, Shari. So if you just use the emoji, the question mark emoji, it's in red. I am a lone person. I don't take it well. I think what you're saying is that I'm money motivated. I do this for a living. My channel was unmonetized for 2 or 3 years. So I don't think, and up until, I really don't think that's fair. So trying to get, if you have a question, just put it in red, please. That's all I ask. It's really hard to do this alone. Concentrate on what Alec Baldwin's saying and concentrate on the chat. It's hard to do both. Thanks so much.
A flash round with gunpowder in it, whether it's a quarter, half, or full load, and you put a real bullet on, that's called a bullet. That's not a movie bullet. That's a bullet.
Yeah.
How did that happen? I mean, I'm the person that fired the gun. I'm dying to find out how that happened. How did that bullet that caused it end up in her kit?
And again, we're not going to know if it was manufacturer issues or someone did bring a live round until it's been tested and we look at the whole casing and projectile of it. So is there anybody on set?
Thank you, Count It All. Joy says I'm fine. That's all. Thanks. Everything's chill.
That you would think want to cause a disturbance in the filming or have any issues with anybody on set, minus what happened, if you don't think...
No, in the movie business, there are always some whiny people.
Okay.
But not so much so that they want to shoot somebody.
So nothing...
I've never heard of anything like this in my lifetime, ever. I've made 75 movies.
So in the past couple of weeks that you've been on set, there's nobody really...
There's no one I would imagine would be capable of doing something like this.
Nothing that out of the ordinary.
But again, I think it's a critical point to me.
That's a good question, Clown World. As a New Yorker, do you share your disdain for Alec with other New Yorkers? I've only had one experience with him at the Met Opera. Your disgust with him seems like it's been simmering over his... No. I enjoy Alec Baldwin on SNL. I think he's funny. But he's not well liked in this town. But it's not personal to Alec Baldwin. I'm pointing out a pattern of behavior, of denial. When he feels slighted, he blows up. And when he goes crosses the line, as he often does, he denies that he did it. So there's a pattern of not taking responsibility. But I'm a screenwriter's daughter. My godmother's an actress. Her daughter's an actress. Works in this business. I've been on sets, worked as a decorator. I'm very familiar with this world. And when you behave like this, you don't, your career does, unless you're making people a lot of money, and even afterwards, it's very hard to keep a A-list career acting this way. And look at Alec Baldwin's IMDb. He's been going down. I mean, he set the tone on this set. He was calling the shots. He was a producer and the big star. So, yeah. Someone else a New Yorker here, Rabbit? Yeah, so Rabbit says, you're a New Yorker too. By these standards, he's rude. Yeah, we love people who live here. Most people who are creative are in Hollywood. They're not living in New York. So for the few stars that live here, we give them a lot of slack. So if you're not really beloved, it's unusual.
If this is a flash round, if there's a flash round, and you have a piece here, this piece has to be a certain type, in other words, if you wanted, I've told you before, if you want the shot to go off, and see that the cylinder cosmetically has a round in there, this is not the thing that was in Joel's shoulder.
But, and then I want to come back to this. You said that when the gun went off, you experienced no kick.
Yeah, there was no recoil. There was no recoil, that I remember.
Okay.
I mean, literally, I'm holding the gun, and literally, slowly pull, turn, cock, bang, and as soon as I cock it, bang! And I jumped, I mean, you obviously, that's the last thing you think is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Everything has been done. Every breath we take is to obviate.
Wait, is he quoting the police? Every breath we take deals with safety. We're watching that. We're watching our ammo and our firearms on the set of Rust, right? I mean, what's going on here? I mean, who would you think, just by the body language, who would you think is in charge of this meeting? Should make another, but it's very split. I think let's look at the, I'm going to end this poll. So it's 65 guilty. So it's more, I think, more likely that she's going to be convicted, certainly if, I think that, I mean, if I had to bet, I would bet she would get a guilty charge, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to go with this. Was very happy to see Turconis get convicted. That was something I was super nervous about with that very aggressive defense lawyer. Very good. But I was worried that, I mean, all that stuff about the translator just reminded me of Robert Durst and his, because she had these police tapes that were so damning. It's a way to say I really didn't understand the questions that were being asked of me.
That possibility. And the gun went off, and all I can think of, as I keep saying, is that I've never heard of a flash round that had a bullet on top, that had a projectile similar to what came out of Joel's shoulder. I've never heard of that in my life, ever. Never. Flash rounds normally have the crimping. If there's a head on there, it's made of a special material. And in this scene, you were to look down the barrel of the gun and shoot. You have to ask them that, by the way. You have to ask, well, both of them are in the hospital now.
Oh, so he's telling them to ask Helena and ask Joel. Telling them how to do their investigation. But I mean, is there a better? I mean, he really is a unique figure in what he does. There aren't too many actors that are both dramatic actors and such successful comic actors. And I would say I enjoy him more as a comic actor than a serious actor.
But was it their intention? Because when I was given the gun, I'm assuming it's a cold gun with nothing in it. When it goes to time to shoot, are they going to see in the barrel that there's a gun there? Very often what they'll do is they'll have you put the cosmetic round in, I'll draw the gun up, I'll aim it, they cut. And cinematically they'll cut to the other guy going like this, then they'll cut back to me with the flash round with no projectile. But all I'm saying to you is a theatrical round, a flash round with a bullet head, I've never heard of that in my life ever. Never. Because that's a bullet. Less of a charge, but that's a bullet. I don't know what to say. I've never heard of this in my life.
What's your date of birth, Alex?
April 3rd, 1958.
Do we have, is there someone that we can contact if we have other questions for you?
Oh, okay. So we know that this goes on a few more minutes, but interestingly, he preferred using real guns. He didn't want to
His name is
CGI
Jonah.
this, and also it was low,
Jonah,
but everything
J-O-N-A-H.
screams low budget, right?
His last name is Foxman. They told me that you wanted this correct. Jonah, Foxman, F-O-X-M-A-N.
Okay, I don't know if it just started to freeze here near the end. Let's see. Let's see if it will play.
Is any other?
Okay, good.
We have
All
one
right.
more here.
What do you want me to do?
You can go wherever.
Well, let me ask you this. Originally, and this is a very complicated, I mean, modest compared to what happened to them, but my wife and my whole family.
Let me tell you this. What are we going to do here? Let me tell you this. He has things to tell them.
And on Saturday, my daughter was going to be in the movie. They had a little part for my daughter. The 8-year-old.
Oh,
She was so excited to go. And now the question is, Joel's not going to go back to work for a while.
Right.
I doubt he'll be back to work in a week or two. At that. Who knows what they're going to do? They're going to get the shit suit out of them.
I think his was a shoulder. He might, I don't know. It's up to him how he feels and stuff on.
But I'm sure that there are so many insurance issues for them.
There's going to probably be a halt on
They're in a lot of
it.
trouble, insurance-wise and civil action-wise. What I'm saying is I told.
So he knows he's getting civil suits for this. We're in a lot of trouble, civil action wise. Forget about my director. He might not feel like having just been shot. He might not feel like coming to work. But did I tell you my daughter is going to be in this movie? Let me tell you, she was so excited. My 8-year-old daughter. That must be Carmen. I love that he named them Spanish names. I love it. I mean, they really took that thing to that hoax to the max.
Them, I would stay here tomorrow. My family's not going to come now.
Okay.
I begged them to come, and my wife wants to cancel the trip. She thinks it's just a weird energy. I told the producers that I would stay tomorrow in case anybody else, their insurance investigators, anybody, their lawyers wanted to talk to me. I'll make myself. And then Saturday, I was going to fly home to New York and just wait for them to tell me what to do. Did you need me to stay here beyond Saturday? I will do whatever you tell me to do.
Okay, so I think, what we need to do, we're going to go and process the scene. If there's anything else that comes up, and that we need to contact you, you said you'll be here till Saturday? Or you want to fly?
Oh, no, as of now, I'm going to stay tomorrow to make myself available to the insurance investigators and their production's attorneys.
Yeah.
To make myself available. They've told me they're not sure they need to talk to me. I'm going to stay tomorrow and get on a plane Saturday to go home. And God knows when we're going to come back. It might be months.
Okay. So we can contact you.
Yeah, as long as we...
Yeah, because he can't let anything like this tragic accident. I might not be back for months. He just thinks that it's going to be, yeah, this is terrible. And I think where my thinking is going wrong is I'm thinking in context of Dave Hall's pleading out and all this stuff, and Alec Baldwin, he has his trial. Helena Hutchins is, she's not coming back. And Hannah Gutierrez-Reed didn't do her job properly. But where I get hung up is she was doing her job to the satisfaction of the people that were setting the tone, and I find that very tricky. The tone on set with these safety Sanders.
Have this number and he's not going to change
Right,
it.
no, wait, what I'm trying to say is that I'm going to leave on Saturday unless you tell me not to.
You're okay.
If you tell me to come back in, I'm going to do whatever you tell me to do. But my wife wanted me to come home.
Yeah, so as long as we have a way of contacting you is what we need to do to get a hold of you, okay? But I think you, unless tomorrow
You can find me on Instagram. Just at me at Instagram. Yeah, this is my Instagram. Did I show you my 7 kids and my beautiful wife? It's like he's using all his fame props here.
something different from us, because right now we're going to go, we'll interview
Talk
a
to me
couple
again
more
tomorrow, I'll
people.
come here right away.
Okay, yeah.
Tell me what you want.
What's your work cell?
490.
Or your office, sorry.
That one I don't know. I don't use it.
Okay, long.
So 2850, 490, 2850 is his work cell.
I'll just put.
So the two of you are not best friends and you go bowling together and go to the movies together now?
Yeah. Yeah. We
very close to me.
Let's put it. So this is my card. That's, I put her name on the back of that one, but my office is
How do you
that
prefer to be
first one.
contacted? Office?
Yeah. Oh, let me put my, because mine's a different.
What size?
Yeah, I don't. My desk phone has issues, so I use my work cell phone all the time, and that's usually the best way to get a.
That's actually true.
Yeah, yeah, right. YT3 is making a really good point here. I believe some are shaping their testimony to minimize liability. I get that point too. And so we're watching this criminal trial in the context of all this civil suits. Sometimes it doesn't matter. Mamie Mitchell, do I think she... By the way, the chat in Court TV and Law and Crime is so mean to all these witnesses. Like they didn't ask to be a witness in a high-profile trial. Nobody would want that. But he's flattering them, getting them to giggle like schoolgirls. It's amazing. It's controlling this whole thing and acting. So yes, it has that feeling that we're not getting even the full story. Because there's a lot of civil suits going on.
And then if I'm not at my desk either.
If I don't hear from you otherwise, I mean, I'll come in tomorrow if you prefer, but if I don't hear from you otherwise, as of now, I intend to go home on Saturday.
So yeah, and that's fine, because right now we still have other interviews to do. We got to go to the scene, process it. The processing at the
Murdered by Maestro saying it's a great interrogation. They got him talking. They did get him talking, but I don't think it's hard to get Alec Baldwin talking. Don't forget he went on national TV and told a totally fictional story about Helena, how he was in conversation with Helena at the time of this accident. So I don't think it's hard to get him talking. I think he can't resist.
lab might take longer, so you might even not hear from if
There's
you
2
do.
years backlogged right now.
So our investigations
Me
go on.
remotely.
If it comes to it,
Just tell me
we
what
will
to
figure it out at that point. But right
As of now, my
now,
wife wants me to come home.
as of right now, you better listen to your wife and go home.
Okay, are we ready for, I do have some very unfortunate news to tell you.
What?
She didn't make it.
No.
Yeah.
It's almost like the hand over the mouth. Is that real shock, or I've seen this so many times and I don't know if I'm looking at, is this real or Memorex? Is the real thing or only the mock? The real turtle soup? What are we watching here? Is this some Alec Baldwin acting? So hard with these actors to know.
So Joel still.
It's so interesting that being an actor, you have to access your feelings, and he has such little depth of feeling. He never really goes beyond himself, or really it never gets richer than anger or sincerity or fake sincerity with Alec Baldwin. It's interesting.
The hospital, but the other person involved didn't make it. Sorry.
So is the hand over the mouth, I shouldn't have talked? Is that what that is? Is it a way to say, I want you to know I'm really shocked?
I just didn't want you to hear it outside of here. Is there something we could do for you? Is that Jonah in it? What? Jonah, the one back there? Yeah, okay. Would you want Jonah in here with you? What do you want to do? Do you want to make a call? You can sit.
You should go.
Are you guys needing a ride? Or are you comfortable? I think they've got their baby. Are you comfortable driving though?
I want to go call my wife.
Of course, we could even give you privacy.
No, we're going to go.
Okay.
Maybe
Yeah.
we're going to go.
No.
Oh, God, I want to call my wife. Yeah, of course you'd want some comfort. Very interesting ending. I'm skeptical. I'm sorry. I've been around actors too much.
Can I get you more water or anything? Can I give you guys a few minutes in here?
I want to go call my wife.
So that's it for today. I really didn't even get to half of the stuff I had to, guys, but I understand it's been 2 hours, so I think we've done it for today. But I'll be back tomorrow with another episode. Maybe we can get to that. I have a great phone call that Alec Baldwin made to law enforcement. Really interesting to go through. But like I said, Alec Baldwin hangs over Hannah Gutierrez-Reed's trial. Hasn't been in the courtroom, but boy, has his presence been felt. Listening. See you back here tomorrow at 6 p.m. Have a great night, Eastern. Have a great night, everyone. Please hit the thumbs up. Leave me a comment. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, everyone.